The Raptors have officially signed the 20th man who will be on their summer camp roster, and it is a Michigan State standout from college in Gabe Brown. So in today's video, we're going to assess who the player is and what exactly his impact can be on the Raptors organization for this upcoming season. Let's get into it. What's going on, NBA and Raptors fans? It's Jacob here, back with Amateur Hour Sports for another Toronto Raptors YouTube video. On this channel, I bring you the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news, and I'm doing it all throughout the offseason. So if you like what you see from today's video, then make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You can help us on a road to 12,000 subscribers, and if you find yourself enjoying this video along the way, be sure to drop a like to get that extra little bit of support to the channel. But today's video is all about Gabe Brown. The Raptors have made it official yesterday that they signed this player. Rough day for me timing wise, so I couldn't get this video out until today, of course, but we are going to go a little bit in depth on the impact that he can actually have with the Raptors this season. Less of a focus on who exactly Gabe Brown is, because I'm sure, any Raptors fan who saw we signed a guy, you're going to do your research on the player. So let's talk about a lot about the skills, the strengths and stuff that he can actually bring to the team potentially, and also what he can actually bring to the G League, because Gabe Brown was signed on an Exhibit 10 contract. He played 4 years in college with Michigan State. His most notable year was his senior year, where he led the team in scoring, showcased a lot of good skills, and he had hopes to get drafted in the most recent NBA draft. Though there was a possibility with the skill set, a lot of the skills that he does possess are actually NBA ready skills. Though there was that stuff there, it's not really surprising that he didn't get drafted, but good on him for continuing to work, showcase some good stuff in Summer League, and now he has an opportunity to make an NBA roster in summer camp, and also has a good opportunity to get himself a great spot on the G League, because with these Exhibit 10 contracts, you basically sign for the minimum, and the idea is that if you stay with the G League affiliate for a certain amount of time, you get a bonus. This is the exact same contract that we signed Reggie Perry to at the beginning of summer camp last season. He eventually earned himself a great role with the Raptors 9-5, and eventually, after a great season in the G League, signing an NBA contract with the Portland Trailblazers. I guess that sort of success story is something that we would want to replicate with Gabe Brown here. I'm still a little bit sour to this day that we weren't the NBA team to provide Reggie Perry an opportunity, but kind of looking at a roster, I guess there really isn't that much space for him, but we will see what exactly Gabe Brown can bring to the team. So what kind of player is Gabe Brown? This is a very interesting player, and he fits right into the way Masai Ujiri, Bobby Webster, everybody in the Raptors front office, he fits exactly into the way that these guys want to build a team. Gabe Brown is a forward. He is 6'8", and his wingspan is at least 7 feet. That is exactly what we look for in a player. He's switchable, he's athletic, but also what kind of separates Gabe Brown from maybe some of the other, switchable 6'8", 6'9" forwards is that Gabe Brown is a shooter. He makes his name playing this game by shooting the three ball, and he shoots the three ball very, very well. We go to his season stats from his final year with Michigan State. He averaged just above 11 points per game, just above 1 assist per game, 3.8 rebounds, along with a field goal percentage that maybe isn't the best at just under 43%, but we love what we see in the three-point percentage at 38%. We also love that almost 90% free throw percentage. The reason his field goal percentage may seem a little bit lower than it probably should be is that half of his field goal attempts total come from three-point land. So from the three-point shot, he obviously shoots that very well, 38.2%, and we can forgive the field goal percentage if somebody is taking a high volume amount of shots from three-point range. Something that I found a little bit peculiar, if you caught it, I mentioned earlier, he led Michigan State in scoring. Michigan State is usually a very good team, and only like 11 points per game leading the team. That seemed a little bit strange, but nonetheless, he did lead the team. That's all he had around him. He did lead this team in scoring. He was a great player for them, and obviously, like I said, shoots the three ball very well, but there are a bunch of other things that he does well offensively. I mean, if you look at any sort of tape from this guy, and I encourage you to do so, he is very, very athletic. He can fly high and get to the rim. One of the weaknesses, I'd say, that he doesn't finish around the rim very well, but if you give him an open lane or you get him out in transition, like Like, there's the threat of him pulling up for three in transition, but there's also the threat of him just flying to the rim for an emphatic finish over there, even though maybe the finishing isn't necessarily the best. Defensively, he also does a lot of great things. Even him himself, he would say that one of the best assets to his game is his ability to play defense. So an athletic sort of 3-and-D type of player who can get to the rim for some emphatic dunks, some emphatic finishes, is something that would be pretty interesting to work with. Some of the things about his game that maybe held him back from truly getting, to that NBA level in terms of getting involved in the NBA draft, actually getting selected in that second round, would be mostly his shot creation. He's very good off the catch and shoot, can kind of move with the ball in his hands in terms of creating three-point shots, but his handling is certainly something that does need a little bit of help. That's a part of his game that probably is holding him back the most, but nonetheless, this is somebody who is signed on an Exhibit 10 contract, and they're just going to be in summer camp kind of looking for an outside opportunity to earn a spot with the roster for the next season. But the most likely scenario, and I think that when he signs this contract, this is in mind, that, okay, you're going to go compete for a chance to make the Raptors roster, but ultimately, you're probably going to be going down to the G League. And the Raptors G League team is looking pretty interesting for this upcoming season. Typically G League teams, it's kind of a revolving door year after year, but the acquisitions already made for the Raptors have been decent already. I mean, Jeff Down on that two-way contract, he was a great G League player last season. I'm expecting him to be an even better G League player this season. He doesn't even make the Raptors roster and is with them all the time. I mean, if he's in the G League, he's going to be a great player there. We have Ron Harper Jr., who we're kind of excited to see what he can do at the G League level. We traded Alex Antetokounmpo. I talked about this in a video on my second channel. We traded him for the rights to Jalen Lecque. He just decided to return to the G League, and that would be another very solid player to have with your G League system. And now we're possibly adding in Gabe Brown, and there's a lot of good ball handlers on this team. Gabe Brown doesn't need to be that sort of guy that's handling the ball all the time. He needs to be that guy who's on the outside, moving very well, making those cuts, finishing at the rim, but most importantly, spacing the floor with that three-point percentage. That is something that is absolutely a Raptors 9-of-5 team can use. The Raptors, they very much take their G League team seriously. They like having a successful G League team. They like having that as a pathway for players to develop. There's a lot of success stories from the Raptors 9-of-5 now succeeding in the NBA. Pascal Siakam, a former G League Finals MVP, he's also an MIP in the NBA. He's an all-star. He's a two-time All-NBA player. And most importantly, he's an NBA champion. Fred VanVleet had time in the G League. He's an NBA champion. Chris Boucher was a G League MVP. He's also an NBA champion now. Norman Powell had some time in the G League. Then he's an NBA champion. The list kind of goes on here. The Raptors really do have a little bit of a priority. Not necessarily a priority, but one of the most important things about their organization is having that good G League affiliate to pull players from, to send players to get better. Dalano Banton, Justin Champagnie spent a bunch of time in the G League last season. They were great, and I'm sure that really helped them onward with their development. Hopefully, we see that sort of development for next season. But Gabe Brown is a very interesting player to work with. If the Raptors are going to gamble on that 20th spot on their summer camp roster, I really like the gamble here with Gabe Brown. Maybe there are some more NBA ready sort of players you can give an opportunity to, but I think ultimately, there's 20 players in summer camp, 15 make the main roster along with the two-way guys for 17 players. I think they have a pretty good idea who those 15 players that are going to make it are going to be. They don't really feel like they need to add in anybody else for that sort of competition. So Gabe Brown, a player you gamble on, maybe he's so good you put him on the roster, but the likeliest scenario is that he's going to be a great player for the Raptors 9-of-5, and that's somebody that they would love to work with in that system. Maybe you can develop him. Maybe he earns a shot to play in the actual NBA. I find that a little bit less likely here, but this is a fun little project type of player. A 6'8", switchable, athletic forward who's a great defender, who gets to the rim pretty well. The Raptors, they love that sort of player. The two-way athletic wing is the most priceless thing to have in the NBA, especially when they're the top tier ones, which obviously Gabe Brown isn't. But, that's the great style of player that you need to have on your team. And the Raptors, they have so many of those on their team already. But also having one of those guys who is such a good three-point shooter is not something that you would normally see. So it'll be really interesting to see how Gabe Brown looks over the course of training camp, if he gets some opportunity in those preseason games. And most importantly, as somebody who does enjoy very much going to Raptors 9-of-5 games, I'm excited to see what this guy's like in a G League setting, how much he can really take his game to the next level, go from maybe those 11 points per game in college. Can he get that even better? Can he go up to 13, 14 points per game and be one of the main players for that team? Around somebody like, I would say, Jeff Down at this point, who is likely going to be the leader of that team. Things change very quickly. I mean, some guys emerge, like last year, Kevon Harris, who emerged as such a good player for the 905, who actually earned himself a spot on summer camp. I believe it's with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Correct me, I'll correct myself if I'm wrong when I'm editing this, but this is a good pickup by the Raptors. This is not something that you really need to, go into the streets and celebrate about, but this is a fun pickup. This is a good pickup, I believe, for the Raptors. It closes out the 20 spot for the summer camp roster really well. Let's see how this guy competes with other players who are at that NBA level and see what happens. It's a low-risk maneuver. We're only committing $50K in guaranteed money to the player. It's a pretty standard sort of contract for somebody coming in on a tryout. Let's just kind of see what he has. And, technically, this is, just to finish off, this is actually technically the 19th guy on contract. Christian Koloko still remains unsigned. Again, I will stress that this is not a problem here. If there is any sort of roster movement, if there is any sort of trade that comes through and we can pay Christian Koloko with different money, maybe dip into the MLE to give him some extra little bit of money, and also we could even sign him for a longer period of time, up to 4 years if we were to do that. That's something the Raptors are keeping in mind that they can do. There is no rush to sign Koloko. They can wait, I believe it's like another month before they actually have to commit to signing him. It's not a problem. He'll be the 20th guy officially signed at some point, unless there are more roster moves going to happen. Maybe somebody else gets cut. Maybe Seaman Highlight gets waived. We bring in another guy on an Exhibit 10 contract to help out our G League team. There's lots of different things that can happen, but ultimately, I'm pretty satisfied with the pickup of Gabe Brown. So what do you make of the Raptors signing Gabe Brown to this Exhibit 10 contract? Did you know about Gabe Brown before the Raptors signed him? Did you not know about him, but now you see him? You are a fan of the signing? Let me hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this one. Please, if you did enjoy, be sure to drop a like. It does go a long way to supporting the channel, because when you drop a like, it sends that notification to YouTube that people with similar interests to you may also enjoy this video, and therefore in the algorithm it is recommended to more people. It really does help spread the word of the channel, and it only takes you just a second to like the video. And also be sure, for the greatest coverage and analysis on the latest Toronto Raptors news, that you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports. Help us on the road to 12,000 subscribers, and in return I'm going to keep you entertained all throughout the off season, all throughout the next regular season and beyond. I'll see you again next time for another video.